What's going on, everyone? Diskin here. So we are going to be doing a Q&A today. Just got a random assortment of questions here, and I'm just going to go through and answer those. Should be kind of fun. So the first question is, do you own the house you live in? So currently I'm in Bellingham right now, and I actually rent here in Bellingham. And then when I'm in Seattle, I own the house I live in Seattle. So I have a roommate there, my sister, and she rents a room for me down there. But here I choose to rent, and that reason is a while ago I was looking for a duplex to buy and then live in one half. Made tons of offers and have yet to find one. Still would like to do that, but I've decided, I'm going to straighten this a little bit. I've decided here that it makes more sense for me to not live in one of my rentals right now because what I'm paying in rent currently in this house here is less than what I get in rent in one of my rental units. So it wouldn't really make sense for me to switch because net, it would be a loss for me. Let's say one of my rental places I'm renting out for $1,000 or so, and let's say I pay $800 in rent here. That $200 difference wouldn't make sense for me to make up to live there. So that is why I choose to rent here. And you guys can see it's a pretty cool place, but not a bad view either. So not horrible. That's my view right now. So yes, I am choosing to rent here in Bellingham, and I own my place down in Seattle when I am there. So next question, how to invest when you don't have any money? So that is a good question. How do you get in this real estate game without having any money? And I've probably said this before even on this channel, is my go-to is wholesaling. I think wholesaling is an easy way to get in the game without any money because you're basically getting something under contract at a lower price, giving it to an investor at a higher price, and then you net the difference, right? And the reason I like to do, I would say to do this, especially if it looks like this person's in their early 20s, I think that'd be smart because then you get in the habit of being able to find the properties, which is one of the hardest things to possibly do for investors. And then once you get to the point where you can buy some of those, you can kind of cherry pick the ones that you really like and you want to buy and keep. So later on in line, when you are good at finding properties, you can find something, get it under contract, and then decide, hey, I actually want to keep this one, and can purchase it. Also, another thing I would say in this realm of things is try to utilize private money, hard money if the deal makes sense, and also owner financing. So those are three things I can think of right off the top of the bat that if you don't have any money, you can still be in real estate. So that's what I would say for that one. This next question is funny. Have you invested in Bitcoin? So not really. I think I bought like $250 or something worth of Bitcoin, and it has been on top of my mind just because it is such a big thing right now. Everyone seems to be in it, and I don't know if that's true. I don't know how many people. It's a big topic, I should say, but I don't know how many people have actually invested in it. To me, I think that's the way we're headed, is towards some sort of cryptocurrency or something online. I don't think in the future we'll have actual physical paper money. I can see it all being somehow electronic. So I get the idea behind Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies there are. It makes sense to me. I don't know enough. I'll just be honest, I don't know enough about it to really feel like I've invested in Bitcoin. I know a few people that bought it a couple months ago, and they're up $5 or $6 grand or something like that. I'm sure there's cool ways out there to be able to flip in stuff like that. To me, I still am thinking of it more as a actual currency, and so it'd be like kind of trading currency, that kind of thing. So it's an interesting topic though, for sure. So that's my stance on it. I'm not against it, but I don't know fully enough to say, yes, I'm going to invest a good amount of money into this. Next one. This is a good question. Is there currently a housing bubble, or is there one coming? So bubble is the key word there that I would say no. That being said, I think we're probably going up in the peak part of that. I don't think we're currently in a bubble like what we're thinking in the past. So if you look at 2006, 7, 8, that range, when there was a bubble, that was much different than where we're at currently right now. And I think it's just because that happened so recently that people are getting afraid of their, hey, prices are going up a lot. That must mean there's a bubble. I see it more, yes, I think we're reaching the top, and I think there will be a self-correction in the market. I don't think a bubble will burst, and I don't think it'll be as big as we had it. I think it will stabilize. I think prices will probably go down at some point. I don't know when that would be. That could be in 2 months. That could be in 4 years. I don't know when. I can't tell you when I think that's going to be, but I do see a correction coming soon. Just because I don't think right now we can support the prices as they're heading and how high they've been heading. And we've even seen, at least as realtors, it stabilizing a little bit too. So we're seeing that. The reason I don't see it happening quite yet is because there's still such a lack of inventory, and people aren't building as much. So that was another big thing. There was a lot of overbuilding back then. And so yeah. That is where that is at, I would say. I also, side note, I feel good about the Seattle housing market still. There's a lot of building going on, but that being said, that's mostly multifamily. That's mostly rentals that are being built right now, or like skyscrapers in downtown for business use. That's a lot of what you're seeing being built in Seattle. You're not seeing a ton of, you're seeing specs being built, but you're not seeing huge developments going up as much. So I think that's interesting. And I think Amazon, that's a big driving force, honestly. They're building a brand new Amazon down there. So once that's done, that's going to be an influx of new highly paid people. So I think the housing market in Seattle should stay pretty good in the next little bit. Next question. Oh, this is kind of fun. Would you rather have $100,000 in cash right now, or would you rather be given $1,000 in cash flow of a property? So I guess that's being asked, would I rather have a place that has $1,000 in cash flow, or would I rather have $100,000 in cash? I would say I would rather have the $1,000 in cash flow right now. That being said, I can see if you saw an opportunity where you can make a lot of money with that $100,000, that would make more sense to me. But if I'm thinking about this, especially in this market, that $100,000 in cash flow is actually going to be worth a lot more than $100,000, or that $1,000 in cash flow, I should say, sorry, would be worth a lot more than $100,000 in cash flow, just using like cap rate and stuff like that. Based on that, that's $12,000 a year. Take that by a 6 cap, 7 cap even, and we're just assuming that's net. That would be worth more than just $100,000 in cash. So I would say the $1,000 in cash is what I would ask for right now. The next question. What are some of your favorite books? So that's funny. I have been on this huge kick of like reading about very successful entrepreneurs and things like that. I just love reading stories on like these big successful, or not even big, just really successful startup companies and companies like that, and how they were started and what it took to get them to that point today, and what did they do in the beginning, what set them apart in the very beginning that they got to this. Some even contribute luck to it, but there's a lot of like similarities in these people that have built these awesome companies that I would love to try to apply into my life. So some of my favorite books, I'm going to just go through a list and kind of talk about each one real quick. The last book I just read, I just finished it, was called The Airbnb Story, obviously on Airbnb. Super, super interesting. 3 guys coming together to build Airbnb, and they've gotten a lot of crap over the years from stuff, but it's a really interesting story. I really like that one. Another one I read not too long ago was the Elon Musk book. It's the main one on Amazon. It's a bestseller. You can find it. That one was super interesting. I thoroughly say that I think Elon Musk is the biggest innovator of our time. What he's doing and what he's thinking and where he's taken stuff is amazing. One of the things I realized with him is always bet on yourself. Always follow your intuition and bet on yourself. And I think that was one of the guiding principles in that book. Is he took all his money from PayPal that he made, and he put part of it in Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City. And he just he became ultra wealthy with PayPal, and then he took that money and put it into those 3 companies and watched them explode. And I don't know what he's worth today. I would guess 8 billion, somewhere around there, but correct me if I'm wrong. But he's just taken this and exploded it. He's ultra famous now. So that was a really cool read. One that I just finished, Wild Ride. That was about Uber, the startup of Uber, and that guy's journey and stuff like that. Very, very interesting how he's fought cities, he's fought the taxi industry, he's trying to get overseas and to the European markets and stuff like that. All that was incredibly interesting, and just seeing the perseverance is probably the main one on that one. Another one would be Ask Gary V. It's like hashtag Ask Gary V. I would highly encourage everyone to read that, but if you get that one, I would say get it on the audiobook, just because he edits a few of his answers. It's basically taking old questions from his show and answering them on the audiobook, and it's a really good read. He comes out with a new book in January, I believe. I can't remember what it's called. Crushing It, I think. He had Crush It, and I think it's now called Crushing It or something like that. I'm really excited to read that one, though. Oh, wow, this is a good one. Extreme Ownership. This was written by 2 Navy SEALs that have incredible knowledge about tactics and stuff from the Navy SEALs, and then they apply that to business. Awesome book. I would highly recommend every single person read that. The main principle behind that is you are 100% responsible for everything that happens in your life. No one else or no other factor is responsible. You are 100% responsible, and you have to take ownership of that. So, really cool one. Creativity Inc. is a great book. It's about Pixar and how that started and everything like that. Very, very little to do with Steve Jobs. If you're expecting it to be like another Steve Jobs book, barely mentions Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs wasn't a huge impact in Pixar overall. But it was a really cool book, and how they get people to think about the thought processes and stuff like that, and to really create a culture in a company was what that was about. How to create a great culture, and we're seeing more and more that culture in a company is one of the biggest things in a company. So that was a really cool one. The next one is Shoe Dogs, about Nike. Really good. Again, I love all these, but that was a really interesting read. I didn't know very much about Phil Knight or the start of Nike at all, and so that was a very interesting read, how he actually started as basically a salesman of a shoe from China, I believe it was, and that's how he started, building it up, and then it got taken away, and so him and his former coach started making their own track shoes. So a really cool read, and everything he went through, craziness, how it started from a shack, basically an office that was tiny and crappy and no heat or anything like that, to what it is today is pretty crazy. The last one I would say is a must read, The Everything Store. It's about Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world now, first person, not including inflation and all that kind of stuff, first person to crack $100 billion in net worth. But this was written, I believe, 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, something like that. Really cool. I would say The Everything Store was a very similar book to Elon Musk's book. And I think Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are very similarly run people. They both are a little bit more stern and in that way, but both of them are very knowledgeable about every aspect of the business, which I thought was interesting. And that goes back to Elon Musk. He would walk into a thing with engineers, and they expect engineers only to know it, not the person running the company. Yet Elon Musk knew all the components of what they were doing. And Jeff Bezos was like that too, where he was highly involved in everything, knew every aspect of the business, everything like that. So I thought that was cool. And just the complete and total commitment and buy-in on his part is cool. And I mean, obviously Amazon's one of the biggest companies in the world, so that was a pretty good read. So yes, that is my Q&A. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Ask other questions, and I can do this again. It's kind of fun, I think. And have a great day, and I'm going to just go enjoy this view. So see you guys. Bye.